Welcome everybody to Very Important Geeks, where today we are right off the heels of Apple's 2021 spring-loaded event. But if you happen to have a phenomenally short attention span, we're going to do a quick TLDW. And here we go. Number 1. Apple plans to be carbon neutral by 2030. Apple Card now has an Apple Family plan where spouses and partners as well as children can participate in shared credit and a credit line and build credit together. Updates to the podcast app. You can now get iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 mini in purple. And introducing AirTags, Apple's subtle way of saying we own everything. Apple 4K TV gets an update as well as the stupid remote, finally. New Skittle Color iMacs using the M1 chip, and iPad Pro also gets the M1 chip. And stay tuned guys, we'll dive a little bit deeper into detail in each of those things later on in this video. But while you're here, consider subscribing, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with new videos. So first up, Apple has pledged to go completely carbon neutral by 2030. That means everything from the materials they use all the way through the supply chain. Good. Next up, Apple is doubling down on the Apple Card by introducing Apple Card Family. So now you, your spouse, or your partner can share the same credit, merge your credit lines, and build credit together. Also, your kids or anybody over the age of 13 will also be able to participate in that, and you'll have optional controls and spending limits that you can impose for kids. Apple Podcasts also gets an update. It gets a nice new interface redesign, some channel recommendations. They're also offering a podcast subscription service, which will give you ad-free listening and early access to some content. Now, how that translates into monetization for actual podcasters, I don't know, but I hope it does. Now we're going to talk about the big stuff. First up, iPhone. The iPhone 12 and 12 mini now get a new purple colorway. Pre-orders start Friday, available April 30th. The iPhone 12 Pro, however, remains professionally boring with just 4 colors. And now for what a lot of people were speculating from the beginning, the introduction of AirTags. Think of it exactly like Tile for Apple. So I really wonder how pissed off Tile is right now. Now you can grab yourself a single AirTag for $29 or a pack of 4 for $99. They really just look like a large Mentos, so, you know, they're a little bit safer to throw in a can of Coke if you happen to lose it. Now you can find it. With the new U1 chip, they're going to use something called precision finding, which uses your camera, accelerometer, gyroscope, and haptic feedback to all guide you to where the AirTag is. So they say the AirTags are designed to track items and not people. So they've implemented security features such as unwanted detection, rotating identifiers, and audible alerts. And if you don't think the AirTags look fancy enough, Hermes has partnered with Apple to make little cases for them. Because if you're going to lose something, why not slap a $500 case right on top of it? And you can use the Find My app on your phone to find AirTags the way that you would find iPhones or iPads or any of your other Apple devices. The Apple TV 4K is going to use the A12 Bionic chip and have support for HDR and high frame rate content, even over AirPlay. And they're introducing something called a color balance feature, which works with your iPhone sensors to deliver the most accurate color possible in any TV that you put it on. Is it going to prove very useful in everyday use? I don't know, probably not. If you don't have a couple of TVs sitting right next to each other, you're never really going to know what is the accurate color. Maybe it's useful for like cinematographers or anybody that uses their TV to display color while they're working. That could be super useful. And finally, they have redesigned the stupid Apple TV remote. It was the worst to try and navigate anything by moving your thumb and swiping it over and over and over just to get to the corner of the screen. It's so much easier just to push a button down 3 or 4 or 5 times. So, fortunately, they brought that back, but they've added the touch functionality on top of it, which is super neat. And the wheel also acts like a jog wheel, so you can scrub through things a lot faster. And they've also put the Siri button on the side of the remote. The 32GB version is going to be $179, and the 64GB version is going to be $199. Orders will begin April 30th, and will be available in the second half of May. So let's talk about those wonderful Skittle Color iMacs. So the iMac amounts to essentially what looks like the largest iPad you could possibly put on your desk. They come with a nice single sheet of glass in the front and soft muted colors around the bezels and everything so you can focus on the content, but the backs are going to be nice and bold and colorful. Because the M1 chip has allowed them to make a thinner and more efficient cooling system, all of the bulky thermal parts have gone away, allowing them to make the entire computer just 11.5 millimeters, so 50% thinner than the existing iMacs today. They're supposed to run very cool and very quiet, coming in at only 10 decibels under normal use. It's going to be a 24-inch screen with 4.5K support and 11.3 million pixels. They've added their 1080p camera to the top, which they say is the best camera ever in a Mac. not a very high bar. It's going to come with a 1080p camera, which does auto exposure, noise reduction, and tone mapping, and also a 3-mic array and a 6-speaker system, which they claim gives great soundstage and accuracy. It will also do spatial audio with Dolby Atmos. On the back you get 4 USB-C ports, 2 of which are Thunderbolt and are capable of exporting to a 6K display. It's going to come with a magnetic power connector that's 2 meters long, woven, and color matched. And now if you want to connect Ethernet, instead of connecting it to the back of the computer itself, the Ethernet connects to the small power brick that can be hidden on the floor or behind the computer. Very cool. And you're also going to get color matched accessories, meaning keyboard, trackpad, and mouse. But I really just want the space gray ones. I don't really care about these colors, honestly. I just want the cool space gray. Now, while the trackpad and mouse aren't any different from a Magic Mouse and Magic Trackpad, the keyboard is going to come in 3 different varieties. The keyboard will come in 3 versions: a regular keyboard, one with a Touch ID, and one full size with a number pad. Pre-ordering will start April 30th, and they'll be available in the second half of May. And then we get to watch a little video about Jesse Eisenberg breaking into Apple headquarters. Look how dusty this lab is. Jeez, Apple. Does he know he works there and he doesn't have to steal his own M1 chip? So that cinematic masterpiece just led to the unveiling of an iPad Pro with the M1 chip. Now the M1 chip is going to allow the iPad to exhibit 75x better performance, 1500x faster graphics processing, and other numbers that Apple likes to just put on a chart with no other indices. So they can literally say anything. They say you can play the latest games on it with console quality, and looking at this, like, what console? N64? And here we have a great shot of a young Tim Cook there in all his glory. How fantastic is that? It'll offer 2 times faster access to storage and increase your storage with the 2TB option now available. The USB-C is getting Thunderbolt support and USB 4 support. So of course it'll be the fastest and most versatile port until Apple comes out with a new one next week. It will get 5G support, but speeds will still vary by carrier and region, and in the US, it'll get support for millimeter wave, the high frequency version of 5G. All you tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists are going to love that one. And here's Zoe Deschanel to tell us about the camera. Then there's a lot of talk about studio quality camera and mics and LiDAR built in. There's the True Depth camera with 12 megapixel ultra wide lens with 122 degree field of view. Are there any fake depth cameras? And then they unveil something called Center Stage, which will allow the wide angle camera to pan and track as necessary depending on who's in the frame. So if you weren't worried about being tracked through your camera before, the iPad Pro will also use a Liquid Retina XDR display with 10,000 mini LEDs and 2,500 local dimming zones. That makes it capable of 1000 nits full screen brightness as well as 1600 nit maximum brightness and a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. And the Smart Keyboard Folio now comes in white if you enjoy things that get dingy over time. And that wraps it up for the Spring Loaded event. Let me know in the comments which of these things you're most excited about. Are you going to be living that AirTag life? Are you going to be inviting your partner or spouse to join your credit line? Ooh. And thank you guys so much for watching the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, support me on Patreon, hit that little notification bell so you know when we always have new content. And until next time, geek out.